everybody, and welcome to the West Ham Way YouTube channel. Slightly later than normal. That is all my fault because I sent the wrong link to the lads. But nonetheless, we're still here. It's still right. We've still got loads of things to talk about. Lads, how are we feeling about today's game? Are you feeling confident going into this? We've had a real tough couple of fixtures. It feels like the first game in a while, but we might actually impress him.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident about tonight's game, mate. I mean, it'd be typical West Ham if we play well against the big sides and then lose against Fulham. But, I mean, we're at home. You know, Fulham are not a great side. I know they beat West Brom the other day, but, you know, defensively especially, they're very poor. They were when, you know, they were in the Premier League last couple of seasons ago. And generally, over the years, we've had a good record against them at home and away. So I do fancy us to get a win tonight.
Lads, what we say? Reckon it could be easy West Ham win, or do you think it's going to be typical West Ham struggle with a
draw? I agree with Bill. I think it should be a straightforward win for us tonight. Fulham have looked really, really bad this season, and I'm predicting that we'll win 2-0 comfortable, very comfortable.
Yeah, I agree with that as well. Like, surely we've got to be going in full of confidence after such big performances against some of the top. All of the top 8 really, and other than Newcastle. So yeah, I'm predicting a decent win tonight. I think Fulham will be up for it. I think they'll unfortunately see this as an opportunity to get their first win on the board as well. So it should be a good end-to-end game. But I'm really looking forward to it.
Yeah, it's one of them ones, mate, isn't it? Because they obviously got that result against West Brom, and now they're going to feel a little bit more confident. I just hope it's not typical West Ham. And I covered in the preview. I was like, we need to be a little bit more aggressive in terms of how we attack. You know, it's easy when you're playing a low block and sitting deep against, you know, Liverpool and City, but Fulham, we've got to take that impetus. So I expect the players to push up today, exploit Fulham, fingers crossed. But listen, let's get straight into it, because this man on social media, people don't stop talking about him. Is he right for the system? Is he good enough? Is it him? I want to know your thoughts on him. So who is responsible for Haller's lack of performance? Now, the reason why I say this is there's two sides of the argument. Either the system doesn't work for him or he doesn't work for the system. I want to know, obviously it's maybe a bit of both, but where do you lads sit on it? I mean, I'll come to Bill first. You know, do you think, particularly from that Liverpool game, albeit it was quite isolated, I didn't think he really held the ball up well at all. Do you think someone like Moyes is to blame, maybe not for working to his strengths, or do you think Haller needs to put a little bit more effort in and try and hold up and link play a little bit better?
Yeah, as you say, it's a combination of things. But at the end of the day, as a footballer, you've got to take responsibility yourself. And, you know, the amount of challenges he didn't win last week. I mean, Nat Phillips, who come for his Premier League debut, I think he was man of the match, wasn't he? So, and who was he against all game? Sebastien Haller. So it doesn't matter what system is played. If you're not winning your aerial challenges, which is what he's in the side for, then you can only look at yourself. I mean, yeah, there's other external factors. Is he getting enough support and etc.? But we had plenty of balls up to him last week and plenty of crosses, but we just didn't get on the end of a lot of them. And when he did, you know, a nice flick through to Fornals, he should have played in Bowen, shouldn't he, in the second half? So obviously we know the ability he's got, but you know, he just needs to be more consistent. You know, it was his first start for a while in the league, so I think that needs to be taken into consideration. And hopefully, obviously today, you know, he's playing against a side who are, you know, defensively, you know, all over the place. So, you know, if he ain't going to score today or play well today, then you do fear for him in a West Ham shirt. But at the end of the day, as a footballer, you've got to take responsibility yourself.
Yeah, I think that was disappointing from my perspective, because technically he's a very good football player. You know, even if we take out the work rate and things like that, he should be able to hold the ball up and link play a little bit better than he did. I know he gets the flick-ons, and I think the stats say that he wins most of the aerial duels, but I was really disappointed, and at times it felt a bit like West Ham were playing with 10 in. There was no outlet. You take Antonio outside, all of a sudden West Ham, we can't get the ball on, we can't take pressure off. And you look at this performance, you look against Fulham, you're thinking, come on, mate, this is the game for you to perform. You need to get a goal in here, or you need to show something. I mean, do you think it is just the fact that maybe he hasn't played enough games in this side, and maybe he can do better if he gets a run of games?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's played well, sort of in his brief league appearances. He's only had 5-10 minutes to impress when he's come on in the league, so that's not enough time to get match fitness under your belt. And he's played pretty well in the cups as well. Obviously, he scored a few goals, and when he did come on against Wolves, he got a goal. But yeah, he needs a run of games. But yeah, regardless of how many minutes you've played, you still got to put challenges in and make things harder for the defenders. And unfortunately, that wasn't really the case for him last week. Hopefully, he played quite a lot of minutes last week, and hopefully you can build on that and put in a better performance tonight.
Yeah, 100%. I'm going to come to Jeff. I mean, this is a Fulham game, right? We know that Fulham do have defensive lapses. They will leave space in behind. You are looking at the team possibly to play a little bit into Haller's strengths here, where you've got the likes of Bowen that can get beyond that Fulham defence. Do you expect Haller in this game to show himself a little bit more? I mean, I've seen on social media people say that he's got better movement than maybe he hasn't displayed yet. Do you think Haller needs to start showing something in that attacking third, or do you think the team aren't really working to his strengths?
Well, yeah. I mean, this is the game for him, isn't it? You know, a slightly weaker defence than he was up against last week. Well, very much so, actually. So if he's ever going to show it, today's the day. I mean, I think there's sort of like you said, there's sort of two sides to this issue. Like, first of all, we don't necessarily play to his strengths. That's true. I mean, if he had Snodgrass out wide, whipping crosses in, good accurate crosses to him all game long, he'd probably score more goals. Same if he had a number 10 playing behind him. Lanzini playing him into his feet, he might get more. But we sort of rely on a striker to stretch the game, don't we? Make runs in behind, work hard off the ball, and he doesn't really do either of those things. He kind of drifts into the box and waits for it to be presented to him. So we don't play to his strengths, but then he doesn't really play to our strengths either. I mean, he's not a Moyes player, I wouldn't say, and I think he knows that, and I think Moyes knows that, and I think it's a bit awkward, and that's probably what the issue is. I think they both know that it's not compatible. So, I mean, I don't expect him to be around too much longer, but past January or maybe next summer. But in the meantime, we don't have a lot of depth in that department, so he's got to try and take his chances when he gets them, hasn't he? So, assuming he plays today, assuming Moyes doesn't stick Bowen up top so he can bring Benrahma in out wide, he's got to do it today, I think.
Yeah, I mean, we will touch on Benrahma later, whether he plays or not, but I just think Moyes does seem to have a squad at the moment of players that weren't his players, that he didn't bring in. Like, obviously, Anderson's gone out to Porto. Haller fits in that similar mould. I know Lanzini came on against Spurs, but he doesn't really get a look in either. It's hard, isn't it? Like you say, we've only got Haller as that backup striker. We don't have any other option or any other look. So I kind of look at Moyes and I think you've got to try and at least work to his strengths. And in this sort of instance that Haller can't pull something off or doesn't show his quality, we are looking at January. We are looking at that next summer window and saying he's got to go, because for me, there's nothing worse than having a bench, and it clearly feels like that a little bit with Moyes now. He doesn't trust to bring players on. So we don't know whether either he wouldn't make the sub, or maybe if he had the players that he thought could come on and make a difference, that he would make that sub. We've seen it with Yarmolenko when he comes on around 60th minute. So he can do it, but I just think he looks normally and goes, nah. And it's frustrating because if Haller doesn't perform today, or he doesn't perform in the next game, and Moyes doesn't fancy him, you're shoehorning in maybe Yarma up front. Maybe you're looking at Bowen in that role as well. I mean, it's a bit of a nightmare, mate. I'm sort of tearing the hair out. I just hope he can pull something off. Yeah.
No, exactly. There's just no depth there in that position, is there? So I know we're touching on it later, aren't we, with positions to strengthen. But yeah, you do feel for Moyes a little bit when he looks over to his bench. Say if he's not getting a performance out of Haller, who does he bring on? It's difficult. So I mean, you make your own luck. You can complain we don't play to the system for him, but you do make your own luck. And hopefully today he grabs the ball by the horns and does the business for us.
Yeah, 100%, mate. Mark, what are we saying about Haller? What side of the fence do you sit on? Do you think he needs to work a bit harder, or maybe do you think West Ham need to work into his strengths a little bit more?
I think we need to work to his strengths more. We don't get enough quality in the box. I know there were crosses going in against Liverpool, but there was no real quality for him to go and attack. However, I do agree with what Bill was saying, that in his individual battle against Phillips, that he was virtually non-existent, to be fair. However, what I would say is that in the build-up to that first goal in particular, Bowen had a great opportunity to play him in, and then the ball went out wide, and then Fornals had an opportunity to play him in, and Haller made two very good runs. No one picked him out. And we can go on about his individual performance. He's not doing this. He doesn't run in behind. But then, maybe not doing it consistently enough, certainly compared to Antonio. But then when he has got that opportunity to receive the ball, we're then not passing it to him. It is clear that he doesn't fit into Moyes' system. I think for Haller to be effective, we need to get the two wide players in particular another 10 yards up the pitch so that they can try and get to. He's got someone to play with. For me, it's no coincidence that his best performances for West Ham is when he's had. I think the best example is probably the Southampton game last season away, when Antonio went 1-0 away, I think it was, and Antonio was up top with him. It's no coincidence, and yet then I know Pellegrini then got the sack and Moyes came in and it all changed and all of that. But how many times has he played in two since then? We can probably count on one hand. But having said that, Moyes isn't going to go with two up top. So we need to try and find another way, and that for me is trying to move the two wide players a little bit closer to give him that support, and hopefully they can, find him the quality that he needs. Because clearly Bowen and Fornals, the way they play, are not going to be getting too many crosses in, but definitely I think hopefully Kufau and Arthur can take advantage of the space that they leave to get some quality in the box forward.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, it's David Sullivan telling us to shut up. But, no. Look, I think at the end of the day, you are bang on. And I remember that Wolves game when Haller come on, even for a short period of time. We pushed the wing backs up. Arthur gets a beautiful cross in the box. Haller finishes it. That's what you can do. This is why I say this game's so important. We will talk about Benrahma as well, but for Haller, because it is the chance for West Ham to push up, be a bit more offensive minded, and let's see what he can do then, and then we can build a bit of a better picture with him, because I don't think Antonio's back until Sheffield United, so he has got really this game and then he's got the Villa game. If we see something today where we see quality deliveries, maybe it gets a goal or an assist, all of a sudden it changes our mindset. We know it can work in this system. I'm kind of hoping that if you have pushed the wing backs up, you've got the likes of, I don't know, Fornals and Bowen coming a little bit more central and a little bit closer to Haller, and then we'll see something a little bit more progressive. But I was just gutted, mate. I've got to be honest. I do rate him as a player, but I was gutted when I watched the Liverpool game because I was thinking, there's nothing from this. The most impressive aspect of West Ham's play is we can create chances even without Haller being involved in most of it, because the team just pushes up at times. But going forward, we can't keep playing that without almost a natural striker. So listen, hopefully, fingers crossed today, he can get something.
Yeah, definitely. I think, as we said, there's no need, no excuse really for him not at least being a bit more competitive in his individual battles against the centre half. Clearly he doesn't. I agree with what Jeff was saying before. I don't think he'll be here this time next year. I'll be very, very surprised. And I think that we, while he's here, we need to make the best of him. And make the most of him, really, because there's clearly a player in there. When you don't score 15 goals in the Bundesliga the season before we signed him, if there's not a player in there, I find it frustrating. I think some of the stick he's had is a little bit unfair, but I do understand where people are coming from. I just think we need to, persevere with him and give him a little bit more support from open play in particular.
Yeah. Fingers crossed, mate. I am really hoping. Let's have a look at some of the comments. Charles, regular on the channel, going to go 3-0 Hammers. Fingers crossed. Darren says, evening, give us a wave, Bill. Give him a wave. That's it. Right, moving on. Right, this one is interesting, because this is also another point of contention. Should Benrahma start against Fulham? Listen, I think this is the perfect game for him. I've got to be completely honest. I really rate Fornals in terms of his defensive work rate, his energy in midfield, his quality in the final third from passes, less so from finishing. But I just look at this game. We need to get Benrahma in this side at some point. The quality is clear. And I can't really think of a better team to do it against than Fulham. So I'll come back to Mark. Thoughts on Benrahma? Would you put him in for this game, or are you going to stick with Pablo Fornals?
It is a difficult one, really. It's very, very tempting to start and think of today. It's a great opportunity. Fulham are probably the weakest team in the league, certainly from what I've seen so far. Just trying to second guess Moyes, and I'm really just basing it really purely and simply on what he did with Bowen in January, where he left him out for the first, 3 or 4 games, and he sort of got just 20 minutes here and there. I think that's the way that Moyes is going to go. However, we've just said about the support for Haller. I think that Benrahma would probably be because of how he plays. He's used to playing out wide, so obviously did it for Brentford on a number of occasions. And I'm talking about maybe moving our wide players another 10 yards forward, and I think that Benrahma is more suited to that particular role than what Fornals is. I would start him, but as I say, I believe that Moyes will leave him out just purely because Fornals has been in decent form. I know he's missed some sitters, which he should have done a hell of a lot better with. But then he probably has been our most creative player as well so far. So if you're looking for someone who's going to exploit the gaps that we're expecting Fulham to leave, I think that Fornals, because he is up to speed with how we play, and generally his match fitness is going to be miles ahead of Benrahma's in a minute. I think that Moyes will leave him in Fornals in for another week, and Benrahma will have to just accept he's going to get another 20 minutes or so off the bench, unfortunately.
I think something that we haven't really spoke about as fans is that transition from the Championship to the Premier League, from a side like Brentford to West Ham, changing system. It is going to take time for Benrahma to mould that. I do feel like when we bought Bowen at the time, he was perfect for our side. Energy, work rate, everything that Moyes kind of bases his team on. Benrahma is a bit different. But you kind of just look at this game and think, I think he's going to have more space. Against Liverpool, I get not bringing him on because I think the work rate that he'd need down that side, he'd be pinned back most of the game, and then you'd be sitting there going, well, he's not getting forward enough. It's difficult for him. Whereas this one is like, it's ready-made for it. Having said that, I do think Pablo would have a good game today because I think when he's played against teams where he gets space in the final third, he always finds that final pass. And that's something that has really impressed me, is why he gets so many assists. Jeff, what do you think about Sebastien Haller? Is it one you'd like to see him? I know people bang on about him. There's so many different edits on YouTube of his skills, but would you throw him in today and give him a chance, or would you just stick with Pablo Fornals?
I think it's a perfect game for him. It might have come like Mark said, maybe come a game too early. Looking at the way Moyes has been managing his new signings, getting them up to speed and getting them in. But I think on this occasion, it would be the right thing to do to put him in because it is a perfect game that he played against Fulham twice last season. He's already scored a wonder goal against him in the cup this season for Brentford. It's familiar opposition. If you're looking to transition from the Championship to the Premier League, well, I mean, it's a stepping stone, isn't it? You're playing against the bottom team in the Premier League that were in the Championship last season. It's familiar for him. So I think it's absolutely ideal for him to bring him in. And for me, going back to what we were just talking about Haller, I actually bring him in place of Haller and play Bowen up top with Fornals and Benrahma either side. That would be how I would approach it. Just given the opposition that we're playing, I just think that would be the right system, and that would be perfect way to get Benrahma inside.
It's a good point, mate. And I think that's something I did say before. I can't remember who was against. It might have been City. I think when Antonio went off and Bowen started playing up front I think it was only for like 10 minutes or so, and then he switched it. And I was like, I can get behind that because I feel like Bowen has got great finishing ability and he's going to stretch defences. It's a good point, mate. It is a good point. And maybe it's something Moyes looks at in the future. If Haller can't perform and Antonio's still out, he brings him in and plays him central. I think it's such a good game for Benrahma, honestly. And the fact that I was doing the preview in the week with Fulham, and they leave so much space in front of their back four, and that's why they conceded the goal against Benrahma in the cup. And I'm thinking, this is just ideal for him. But I just want him to get in the side, build a bit of confidence, and then I think all of a sudden we've got a bit of squad depth. Not too much, obviously, but you've got Pablo or Sebastien Haller, so it gives us something to think about. Yeah,
absolutely. And Bowen got a hat full of goals for Hull, didn't he, last season? He does look comfortable when he gets on the ball in the box. He tends to, he's had a couple of good finishes for us, hasn't he? He's had a couple of good sort of wonder goals as well, like where he's run it. But when it falls to him, he seems to find the corners. And I think he's a like-for-like swap for Antonio. He runs in behind, he tries to bully defences, beat players. So I think it's just a straight swap regards the system, and absolutely perfect for Benrahma to come in and fill that gap and hopefully have a performance today.
Fingers crossed, man. I want to see a vintage Benrahma if he comes on. I've got to be honest, I think knowing Moyes, he's going to come on probably for the last 20. We all know that, but it's worth discussing. Bill, what are we saying? Would you like to see Sebastien Haller maybe start from the beginning? Do you think maybe it's a little bit too early? I know Moyes has had concerns over match fitness, and obviously there is that transition from Brentford to West Ham. But would you like to see him at least at some point in this game?
Oh yeah, definitely. I can't really argue with what the chaps have said. I think today's a perfect game for him. As Jeff said, it's a side he's familiar playing against. He's played well against before, and defensively they're shocking really, and they leave a lot of space and they let teams create a lot of chances against them. So as a creative player, this is the game you want to play in, and the same with Haller as well. You want him to be up for it and be confident going into it, because I think you're going to get a better chance of scoring in this season, really. So, I would like Benrahma to start, but if he doesn't, then I'd like to see him at least get half hour, at least give him a chance to show off his skills. But I think Fornals, I think it can be frustrating. It could be amazing and rubbish within 5 minutes. He's just that kind of frustrating player. But I think he's done pretty well this season, I've got to be honest. So I wouldn't have any complaints if Pablo started in front of Benrahma. But I think Benrahma should get a bit of a chance today if he doesn't start.
You're so right, Bill. Pablo is one of them players. I remember when we watched the Leicester game, he was unbelievable. Like the first touch for one of the goals and the passing, I was thinking, this is exactly what we bought. And then you see against Tottenham where he heads it over from a yard out, and you're like, I don't understand how you're so hit and miss. You've got to remember with Pablo, and it might be slightly off topic, he's still quite young as a player. And you kind of think that even though he has this inconsistency, he chalks up goals and he chalks up the odd assist. And it's odd, isn't it? You look at the stats and you think, I can't remember him being that good, but he just pops up in the right place, right time.
And plus, he's not playing in his natural position either.
Exactly, mate. And I think that's why he gets a little bit more time with West Ham fans, because of the defensive work rate on that side, and it's not his natural position. And he did well anyway when we were playing a 4-3-3. He's done well in a 3-4-3 as well. On the same as you, mate. I'd be happy for him to start today if he did.
I think they're two good options, and no matter who plays, we obviously got to be attacking, create chances, and stick the ball in there. So I wouldn't have any complaints whoever started really.
Yeah, wouldn't mind seeing a side Benrahma rainbow flip around the 8. I remember when to be fair to him, he come on against Liverpool, and I think he played like left wing back because he just did a straight shot for Arthur, and I was like, what's he doing here? And he's done a bit of skill on the corner. I'm like, that's great, mate, but we need you kind of in that final third. So fingers crossed if he does come on today, he's nowhere near that side. Now, it might be too early to think about this, but I definitely think, particularly with the injury to Michail Antonio, it is something that does tend to creep up, and it is sort of the positions that West Ham do need to strengthen in. For the context, obviously, of people watching, Moyes has still said that he's interested in a centre-back. I find it slightly strange, if I'm honest, because I think we have enough centre-backs, but he's also said he wants a centre midfielder and he wants a striker. I mean, I'll open it up to any of you lads, but do you agree with Moyes' choices of position, or do you think there's somewhere else maybe that West Ham need to look at?
Sorry, go on, Jeff.
Oh, thanks, mate. What you just said, Corey, I think it's probably a little bit peculiar that he's still talking about centre backs. We might not have all been buzzing with the signing of Dawson, but it's done now. We've got the depth that we need. What are we going to do? Have eight centre backs that aren't going to play? There's no point. We've got them now. We know that's our squad for the rest of the season in that department, and as well at fullback where we had problems. We've got the depth there now, especially with a system that Cresswell and Masaraka are both playing well in. So defensively, I think I wouldn't say it's sorted, but that is our squad for the season. I've written down a couple of notes. Obviously, a striker, I think we need. Even more so if it doesn't work out with Haller, but I think we need probably a main striker to come in and compete to play every week. Obviously, Josh King still being out there as an option, and also regardless of whether Haller stays or goes or whether Josh King comes or not, I think we need a depth signing in that department as well. I mean, all squads have sort of 4 strikers, don't they, to rotate around, and we've currently got one, and Antonio, who's better than the one we've got. So we need 2 strikers at least. If Haller goes, you need 3 really to complete your squad. And then on top of that, it's just a central midfielder. And again, a depth signing. If we lose Rice or Susic, I don't feel confident really. Pains me to say it, but Noble coming in probably where he's not been playing, he's going to be off the pace a little bit. And I just think we need someone a bit younger and hungrier. I mean, Josh Cullen would have been ideal, wouldn't he?
Yeah, if only we had a young player coming through that could have had a bit of there.
Not that I want to upset any Bournemouth fans, but with Josh King already on my list, I've also written down Philip Billing from Bournemouth. I think he'd be a fantastic squad player for us. Someone in that mould who can play defensive midfield, or he can play a bit further up the pitch. I think he's an ideal player for us.
Yeah, I think you bang on, mate. Honestly, I know, and I always bang on about it with the 4 strikers, because I remember Pellegrini coming in and he kind of shoehorned. He got Lucas Perez in, and we had 4 up front. And it was I've got a bit of squad depth, and we've never seen it since, because now we've shipped off half the strikers and we never replaced them. And I think it's an opportunity really to see Moyes as a manager, who he gets in and how he fits in. For me, get a striker that fits within the system. I think Josh King perfect, versatile, can play off the wing if he needs to. Can play on the left-hand side of that front 3, can play up front central, great finishing. He's just a fantastic player. And I think the price as well is going to be quite interesting. Obviously, his contract ends next summer. We should either get him on a cheap or... These are no-brainers. And this is why I don't like hearing Moyes come out and say, what about Tarkowski? We don't need him. Even if we had the money, why would we... I even looked at Fofana for Leicester we were in for. Unbelievable player when it's doing play. I was like, I get why you wanted him, but we need to move on. And with that centre midfield position, like you said, it doesn't fill me with loads of confidence. If Noble comes in or Snodgrass comes in, we saw it at the Carabao Cup, albeit different formation, etc. They struggle. Like the legs, they struggle. And I think we were talking about it the other day on Thursday, with Rice and Souček, probably the 2 best centre midfielders we've had in a long, long time. So if you're going to bring someone in, albeit if the quality's not there, they've got to be in that same mould. And I think we've been linked with Lundstrom. I don't know about your thoughts on that, lads. I mean, Lundstrom is on a cheap deal as well. I'd definitely take him and put him in the squad.
100%. Yeah. We showed this quality last season. Sheffield United, if he'd be great. I don't think he'd play in our first team, but as a rotation and a squad player, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, and the price as well. It was like 750k. that's right up Sullivan Street. Probably still try and pay it in instalments, but even so, yeah. I mean, where else? Do you think maybe because we've changed the system to the 3-4-3, we are forgetting a little bit about that left back side? If we ever went back to a back 4, do you think maybe we need to go out and find a quality left back, or are you all right maybe for Arthur to fill in there?
Yeah, I think still, I think you're completely right, mate. I think left back or left wing back now, that's somewhere we need to look at, because Cresswell's done brilliantly as a sort of left centre back, but as a left back, I'm still in the back 4. I'm still not convinced that he can get back to how he can play a few years ago. I don't think any of us are convinced about Masuaku's left back capabilities. But if Arthur is injured, which he had an injury scare in national duty a few weeks ago, and we thought, he's going to play left wing back. Well, that's something to look into. Who's going to play there if he gets injured or suspended? So whether someone to replace him or, as I say, a backup would be useful. As a left back or left wing back. I've agreed with a few shouts. I think centre back, I think we're fine with that now. Centre midfield, apart from Rice, Souček, who else have we got? Snodgrass and Noble. I think we need some younger legs in there. So again, whether it's one of these like academy prospects or wonder kids or something like that, that'd be awesome if we get somewhere for there. And the same with up front. We haven't had the striking talent, as you said, Corey. We had Marco Arnautovic, Andy Carroll, Lucas Perez, Javier Hernandez, 4 established strikers in this league, and they all brought different strengths. And we haven't had that since. So if you're going to play one up front, which we are now, you need at least 3 strikers in your squad. Whether it's someone to compete with Antonio or Haller or a youngster who needs some game time occasionally, then that's something we need to look at.
Yeah, and I think Jeff mentioned it, even with that strength of depth. Like, I think in a way, I'm not going to go on back. We were kind of fortunate to have players, those 4 strikers that were all capable of playing and starting. I'll be happy just to have someone with a little less quality, but fits in a mould. I always look, and I think he's a terrible finisher, but someone like Shane Long, who just runs and runs and runs, and you think you put him on for 30 minutes, maybe it kind of stretches the game, or maybe it does something. I'm interested to see how we approach it, and I think a couple of sites have put out that West Ham are still skin, so I don't imagine we'll spend too much money in January at all. But I would expect, to be fair, with the wage bill, we've freed up wages. I think we'll talk briefly about Jack Wilshere in a minute for his comments. But we should be looking to bring someone in, at least on a loan deal.
Yeah, as I say, I mean, I think in certain areas like right back and right wing back, I think we're okay now. I think Safal and Fredericks are decent options. Centre back, wingers, we've still got plenty of those. So there are still thin areas of our squad that weren't really sorted out in the summer that still needs to be addressed in January or next summer.
Yeah, it's I'll tear my hair out even thinking about it. To be fair, I'm just like, come on, West Ham. And the thing that will change it is where West Ham are in January. If West Ham are top 10 in January, all of a sudden maybe this season looks completely different to how we thought. You'd be looking at the owners to say, right, now you've got to back him a little bit more because West Ham could push for something positive. Either way, if we struggle now, still got to bring someone in because it's clearly not good enough. But definitely, I just think going forward, like it has to be squad depth. We have to address this issue. I think we've got one of the worst squad depths in the league from what I've seen. So, yeah, anyone or particularly centre midfield for me.
Yeah, I think if we do lose Rice or Susik, he's thin on the ground. You've got to be looking to pull Fornals back into central, and I guess Snoddy would go out wide. I wouldn't class Snoddy as a central midfielder. I know he's done a job for us before when there's been a few injuries, but I just don't think he's got the legs really to get amongst it too much against some of these really versatile box to box central midfielders. But what he does have is a fantastic delivery from out wide, doesn't he? So I guess that would be the way to go. But I mean, yeah, we desperately need some extra depth in there for sure.
Mark, you've been flitting in and out, but I will ask you, mate. I mean, do you agree with the January signings? Do you think it's got to be centre midfield and up front? Still struggling. Never mind. Right. Anyway, is he gonna? Right, I mean, lads, I'll ask you now while we're here. By the way, Jack Wilshere come out in the week, and he's been getting quite on his high horse about West Ham and where he thinks he is as a player. And I'll be honest, I was a bit disappointed with some of his comments for someone that professes to be a West Ham fan, and come out and say, "I don't want to be at a club like West Ham or Bournemouth." I thought it was a bit offensive, and I thought, given the lack of gameplay that he's actually had, I'm not quite sure why he feels that he should be able to say that.
Yeah, I think he just needs to keep his mouth shut, mate. He's done all the talking now. Since he left the club. I think he just needs to keep his mouth shut and start playing, which he hasn't been able to do consistently for years now. So I think ability-wise, I think he's shown that at Arsenal, especially in the Champions League games against Barcelona. But that we're talking a long time now. So injuries have ravaged his career, and he's nowhere near the same player in terms of ability and everything. So I mean, he'd be lucky to get a Premier League club come in for him now. I think he just needs to just focus on getting fit and start playing.
Jeff,
about really disappointing, and I thought quite confusing. I don't know where he's got this notion from that he should have been a key part of our system and how we play and where we are as a club. I mean, the guy just isn't there fitness wise, is he? And he's obviously not going to get there. To let a guy go and pay him out basically all of his contracts, I think it was 85, 90% or something. That means that the medical team have looked at him and just said, listen, we can work on him day and night. He's not up to it, I don't know why he would think that he was such a key component, or could be such a key component for anyone. I mean, he came in and played a couple of games for us this season in the cup, and then he missed one, didn't he? Picked up missed one. He played 2 games, missed one. I mean, that's not the way to go, is it? It's not his fault, but I don't think it qualifies him now to be sounding off as much as he is. I think even if he goes to the MLS or somewhere else, he's going to have the same problems. I just found it disappointing, but most of all quite confusing.
Yeah, it's a proper bad look. Like, it's a really bad look to come out and say that. And I think like it shows a little bit how attached he is from the fan base as such, because if he knew anything about, obviously, I'm not saying he wanted to be injured, of course not. He's just injury prone, that's the way it's gone. But he should show a little bit more understanding about where he is. And I mean, we could go on all day about West Ham and paying 100k a week for Wilshere, or how he passed the medical. We've got Benrahma struggling to pass it, and Jack Wilshere's managed to do it. So Yeah, crazy, innit, mate? Bad look for me. Not appreciated at all.
Well, he's not doing himself any favours. If he keeps making noise like that, agents and teams looking to sign him are just going to say, "Oh, is it worth it?" He comes with injuries. He's got a bit of an attitude. Should we bother? So I mean, he can keep going all he likes. It makes no odds to us, but it ain't going to do him any favours.
Yeah, I'm kind of what Fonda's saying. I actually think that he's going to struggle to get a game like a club. I think Rangers were looking at him, and obviously he never went for him in the end, and now he's sounding off again. So it's a bit like, yeah, I don't get it. I really don't get it. Very, very, very strange move from him.
It just reminds me of when Owen Hargreaves had that massive injury at Man United, and he was releasing these fitness videos. Look how fit I am. Went to Man City, I think he played once or whatever, and then we never saw him again. It's just like, I don't think Wilshere's doing fitness videos anytime soon, but it just screams of desperation, and I think he's like denying the situation he's in. He's just got to own it, and get on trying to find a new club.
Yeah, definitely. Right, see you later, Jack. Off your pop, mate. You've had your fun. Listen, as before we go, actually, I will ask you. Southampton won last night 2-0. They're top of the table. I mean, this league season's absolutely unbelievable at the moment. People are either flying. Leicester have picked up form now. I mean, can you tell me your thoughts on who you think's actually going to win the league, or do you think this thing's wide open?
I think Man City will come good in the end. Like you said, it's wide open. It's a bit of a roller coaster, isn't it? I think the injury to Van Dijk at Liverpool. I know that Nate, what's his name, done really well against Haller, but
Phillips,
over the course of a season, I think they're going to miss Van Dijk, and they're obviously still going to be probably in the top 2 or 3, but I think City will come good, and they will go on to win the league. Everton look great; they're going to be up there. Southampton, if maybe I could see them dropping off, but yeah, for me, it's Man City.
Yeah, I agree, mate. Well, I agree. I think City will get better. And I think people are writing them off quite early. I know they were a bit shocking early doors, but I think you've seen that from a couple of teams where they've either had Champions League or Europa League campaigns finish late, and they've come back and they've started slow. And I think City are slowly progressing. They played really well against us. You know what I mean? We were good to get a draw against them. And you think now, if they've got Jesus back, they get Aguero back, you've got the squad depth. They're looking lively, but I feel like Liverpool are going to nick it this season. They're consistent. They haven't played brilliantly. We played fantastic against Atalanta midweek, but I think Jota changes it. Like, he changes their whole front line, and if you've got someone like that to bring off last 20, it's going to be hard to defend against.
Yeah, I think their depth was shown in the game against us last week. They brought on Jota and Shaqiri, and they're both involved in goals. So I think I did fancy Liverpool before the season started, but obviously, as Jeff said, the injury to Van Dijk has really changed things. I think it'd still be between City and Liverpool to win the league, but Chelsea, since Mendy's come in, they've actually finally kept clean sheets, and we know about Werner and Havertz, etc. So yeah, I think it's wide open. I think the lack of pre-season has really harmed most teams' defences with the lack of preparation and time on the training ground, etc. The amount of games being played consistently, as well as playing Champions League, Europa League games. I think it's really wide open. It reminds me of when Leicester won the league and when we finished 7th, and Southampton were in the race for Champions League as well. So I think it could be a real open season.
This is why, mate. This is why it's important we get our points this month, because I do think we are coming up against some of the worst teams in the league. Villa have dropped off now massively. Sheffield United have looked really, really poor as well. You got to look at West Ham and get points. Then we've got Man United. Hopefully they don't sack Ollie, and he's still in that job come December. And then you've got Leeds. So I mean, West Ham could push right up that table by the end of November.
Yeah, I mean, this season it's all about goals, isn't it? There's goals going in left, right, and centre, and high scoring games. I think players are playing free of a bit of pressure where there's not supporters shouting and screaming at them every time they misplace a pass. And I think that's told for Sheffield United. They done really well last season, but they were still winning games 1-0 or picking up big draws against teams. They haven't really got a big goal scorer, and they've just not been left behind in that department this season, haven't they? Whereas in contrast, we seem to be able to create opportunities and put the ball in the net with more ease than I've seen in a long time. So this season's all about goals, and we touched on it with the January transfer window. I think that needs to be our focus: is goals. Who's going to get them? Can we bring someone in to get more? I think goals are going to win. They normally say defences win leagues, but I actually think goals are going to win leagues this season.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's why it was so strange when West Ham were scoring so many goals against these teams, and these teams like Leicester and Wolves couldn't defend against us. And I think particularly what I've seen after of Leicester and Wolves, suddenly their wing backs are a bit deeper. They're trying to soak it up a bit, because I think teams have cottoned on now. You can't play a Premier League season, bomb forward and concede like 2 goals and try and outscore the other team. So, and I think West Ham are benefiting. Like we're consistent in the performances. I hate to say it because I absolutely despise them, but Tottenham have been consistent in their results, and that's what will push them towards that kind of 4th place. And I don't think they've been any great shakes, but just purely because of the consistency. Like Bill said, it's a perfect opportunity. It's like that Leicester season. Had we won a few more games, we would have had Champions League football. So
yeah, absolutely.
You're kind of just hoping West Ham keep it together and we push on up the table. But I'll let you go, lads. It's been fantastic as ever. Check out the guys on their social handles as well. Of course, they'll be back at some point, either next week or the week after. Live watch along today, 7:30 against Fulham. I'm looking forward to it. First game I'm not feeling stressed out about, but I'm actually looking forward to seeing what West Ham do. Previews next week. We're going to do another Writer's Block additional one. It's going to be a shocker 11, purely because Jeff will know we spoke so much about dodgy players over the past 20 years that it's only right that we try and fit him into the system. And yeah, all the usual, back on Saturday. And yeah, absolutely can't wait for it. Right.
Cheers, guys. Enjoy the game tonight.
Cheers, lads.
Come on, you ones. Till next time. Take care.